Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape! No! Planet where apes evolved from men.
The only good human is a dead human!
Apes! Do not want war! Damn you! God damn you all to hell!
Hello everyone, it's day 2 of Talking Apes. Dylan McCandless, Super DM64, joining me, Bill Worster, Zazubaar. How are you doing, kids? How are you doing, Dylan?
I am doing great. I'm excited to dig into the first sequel in the ever-expansive Planet of the Apes franchise.
Yeah, so God, what a beast beneath Planet of the Apes is. Because Planet of the Apes, you know, based on a book without a sequel, and rather self-contained. Would you not agree? We watched it together. We did a commentary. Things were said. Rather self-contained piece.
Like, it's open-ended. Certainly you can tell that things could happen afterwards, but it is very self-contained as well. It leaves the possibility for a sequel, but it doesn't set up anything. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think that's the only way I can put that. It leaves us in a place where things could still happen, but we don't necessarily need more things to happen.
Is Beneath the Planet of the Apes the direction you would have imagined had you not, you know, had you been following them as they were made? Like, you saw the original movie and then you were just, like, anticipating a sequel? Is this the direction you would have foreseen?
No, not at all. And that's the thing that has always struck me about this movie from the first time I saw it. It's a really weird idea for a sequel. And
That's what I like about it.
It introduces a whole lot of, like, new concepts that just were not even a thing in the first movie.
That's what I like about it.
It's very, and I don't mean this in a bad way, very out of left field at points. You're like, wow.
Isn't that
like,
isn't that wonderful, though? Don't you think?
I'd say the weakest thing about the movie is that Charlton Heston didn't want to be in it very much. So they had
I was literally about to say the same thing. The obvious problem is that they subbed out Charlton Heston for baby Charlton Heston. And baby Charlton Heston is not nearly as compelling as full-grown Charlton Heston.
They have to shoehorn in this whole other plot with the second astronaut that just doesn't work so well.
It's hilarious how convenient it is. We'll talk about it when we get there.
Some cool stuff. There's some cool stuff going on in this movie. It's a shame that 20th Century Fox, in their nearsightedness, had decided to cut the budget. And this was a consistent thing throughout all of the original 5 Apes pictures. They were hugely successful, and yet every time Fox kept cutting the budget.
None of them were as successful as the original film, though, right?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe. Well, I mean, obviously they were successful enough that they were like, shit, we got to keep cranking these things out. Even after the way this movie ends, which was intended as a way of saying no more sequels.
Yeah, but then they were like, oh no, yes, very many more sequels. So this is actually my favorite of the Ape sequels. You know, of the original series, like, this is the one I have the most positive nostalgia for. Because I watched them in order, and I had seen Planet of the Apes, it blew my mind, and then I immediately watched this one after on whatever that channel we couldn't figure out the name of last time was called.
Yeah.
That would play the Apes movies, and I was like, oh my god, the continuing adventures, what the hell's gonna happen? And all this crazy shit happens, and the world blows up. It blew my mind. Like, my god, like, what a way to top the original, you know? That's what I thought at the time. And I'm with you on all the things you said. It's such an out of left field, bizarre, experimental sequel. It's clearly not playing it safe. It's definitely not just the original movie again. Like, I think we can definitely agree on that. But I do agree that the problematic elements are what is missing from the original film that they sub in to try to fill those holes, and they're not so successful. Cornelius might be another aspect of that. We'll have to see how that scene plays before we make a final judgment on that.
Oh, that makes sense. It was the Fox movie channel.
Oh,
I should
sure.
have seen that coming.
Wow, that makes a lot. That makes a lot of sense. Yes.
I just found an
So
article
thanks
about
to
it.
the Fox Movie Channel. Praise to them.
You remember the logo for that, where they just took the final shot from the last movie, and instead of the Statue of Liberty, they have this big like Fox logo that's
Yep.
the Channel of the Apes.
Yep, I do remember that. That was awesome.
I wish
And
I
they had a
still did
little
that.
thing where the apes were traveling around the Fox lot, and they were
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
beating
that
people up and shit.
That was good shit too.
That was fun. I have fond memories of that. End of this movie. So Dylan, are you ready to re-experience those fond memories? And not disagree with me at all?
Sure.
Let's see what happens, shall we? So as always, we hope that in this preamble that we've done, you've taken the opportunity to get your copy of the movie ready to go. DVD, streaming, international space, satellite in space, voodoo magic, however you're viewing the film, hop to it and get it going to 0-0 and press play in 3, 2, 1, play. Here we go, D. Beneath the Planet of the Apes. I do like how we just immediately go, what happened last time? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
It kind of feels
real
like
quick.
Rocky, where it's like we immediately pick up with what happened last time. Like every Rocky movie opens with clips from the end of the last movie. And this is new footage, but it's obviously supposed to be reminiscent of stuff we saw at the end of the last movie. And I think we're going to see scenes from the last movie reshot and kind of done a little differently to set us on the path of what's going to happen this time. Here we go. That's
Real
Roddy.
quick, Bill,
That's
let's,
Roddy McDowell, though. That's a little distracting that they put him in there.
Yeah, well, it's stock footage, obviously.
So yeah, this is the exact same scene from the last movie. It's not reshot. This is all stock footage. Do you think we needed that? How much longer is this after the last movie came out? Did we check the year?
I don't think it's long.
Can you double check that? I don't have my phone on me.
Yeah, it's 1969, according to the back of the DVD case.
Wow. So a year later, that'll probably show. I think the only real problem with doing this is that we see Roddy McDowell as Cornelius, and it's not who we're going to see later. I remember him looking very different.
We talked about this when we did the Week of Kong, and we were doing King Kong Lives. This was a common thing back in the day because home video wasn't a thing, and they had to count on some people seeing the sequel who maybe hadn't gone to see the first one, or maybe didn't remember how it ended.
People who fell asleep, the whole business.
It wasn't entirely. It went to the bathroom, missed the best part. It's not entirely uncommon.
His destiny. This is a pretty badass opening title sequence, as much as it was a badass ending, though. Beneath the Planet of the Apes. That's such a cool title. And started the tradition of over-the-top, badass Apes titles. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. War for the Planet of the Apes. Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. Escape from the Planet of the Apes. All that cool shit. But at the same time, we did say that this movie didn't the original film doesn't necessarily demand a sequel, and this is certainly a left of center direction. They tried a whole bunch of other directions though before they came up with this left of center one. Pierre Boulle turned in a draft for a fucking sequel. I would have loved to have read that before we recorded this commentary if I could have got my hands on it. And
Do you know how Pierre Boulle felt about the original movie?
he didn't
do you
like
know?
his original book, so I think he was actually fine with it. But he wanted to do a movie about Taylor starting a colony of people, I imagine. His script was called Planet of the Humans, and Rod Serling turned in a draft that was like that. And Arthur P. Jacobs didn't like either of those directions. He thought they would have been too expensive and too weird. So then he got Paul Dane to do something that was a little bit more kind of contained. And Paul Dane's version is the starting point of what we have here. His original script is definitely still a little weirder than what we have here.
There is a short story in that anthology that we're going to be reviewing on the next episode of DFWS. It won't be next by the time this commentary comes out, but we will have reviewed it. That's
Way to date
basically
this.
which is basically that idea executed. It's this movie doesn't happen, and Taylor and Nova find some more good land and start a colony of humans.
And the idea was that he would revolt against the apes, which I would have liked to have seen. I think that would have been really badass, but again, that just wasn't possible given that Charlton Heston didn't want to be in it. I imagine if he had, that probably would have been the direction. A militant Charlton Heston versus Apes movie, and Mort Abrams. I guess Mort Abrams was the one who was like, we're going to make it real cheap. I don't know. I don't know what his contributions are. Paul Dane is the one that I know.
Again, I don't know what Fox was thinking in these days. It's like, oh, that movie was a huge hit. Let's make a sequel, but cut the budget significantly. Let's not give them as much
Directed
resources.
by Ted Post. He does all his directing in post.
Ew.
He didn't follow Zayas' advice. He didn't follow the shoreline. He got into the desert real quick. That's a bad cut. I never liked this bit where we literally just kind of fade to another space crash that's 10 times less impressive than the first one.
Ship's much more fucked up, though. Probably because it wasn't a water landing.
God knows what happened here that didn't kill them.
Well, it didn't kill him.
That's true. Skipper.
Was that guy lying on the ground there a second ago when we cut to that wide shot?
I don't know.
Or was
little
he ever
buddy, you gotta get me some whiskey, little buddy.
Was he ever so slightly out of frame at that time?
I don't know. Maybe he was invisible. So what do you think of Brent here?
He's all right. He's just sort of a low rent Taylor, isn't he?
I always thought he was good enough to get us through the movie. It's a rather well-paced film. There's a lot of cool, weird shit in it. So there's not a whole lot of time to go, oh, this guy's not as charismatic as Charlton Heston. This movie is more action-oriented than the original is.
It's not. I don't think it's the fault of James Franciscus. He, of course, was a prolific television actor. He knew what he was doing. It's just I don't know. It's because it's just this movie was kind of screwed because of Heston's reluctancy to be in it, because they had to write this whole secondary astronaut thing, and it just comes out of nowhere, and you don't really connect to him, because the whole movie you're like, well, why can't I be with Taylor doing things like?
Well, because he's trapped in a prison doing nothing, so that would be boring.
Why am I with baby Taylor? This is it's not right. Like,
so what do you do if you're not going to have Brent in the whole dumb secondary astronaut thing? Do you make Cornelius and Zira the main characters? Maybe have Nova also be one of the main characters? Maybe you do the same thing where she seeks them out and then they become our talking main characters. Maybe we focus on Nova for a while, trying to find them after Taylor goes missing.
Yeah, that you could do that. Well, in an ideal world, Taylor wouldn't have been so against being in the movie, and then you wouldn't have had to write it to where he disappears at the beginning.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if we have to roll with that, I think that's the other best case scenario. But they clearly were like, no, we need a talking, handsome, blonde man the whole time, and I'm like, all right, I guess that's what we're gonna have to deal with then.
At least we finally found out, because I don't remember them ever stating what the year was in the first movie, did they? Because they, as far as they were concerned,
we see it. It's on the console.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forget
what they just said. 3,900 something, right?
3955. Or as a drunken Zira says in Escape the Planet of the Apes, 3950 something.
Which is pretty far in the future. How far exactly? Roughly
nearly 2,000 years.
Nearly 2,000 years, right? Yeah, wow. That's quite a while.
from our perspective, more than 2,000 years from the perspective of somebody in 1969.
Ever so slightly, sure. Hey, Dylan. It's 1969.
Nah.
Had to throw that in there. That's Arthur P. That was for my boy Arthur P. Jacobs. He's like, oh yes, I very much so appreciate the 69 humor, yes. That's how he talked, I imagine. Horse neighs. What?
I love how vague and shitty looking these astronaut tools always look, because they're just like
I
plain
was literally
silver.
thinking the exact same thing, and then you said it. They always look like silver, very easily breakable plastic. And I know why. Because they're supposed to look light. And that's what... Because you're supposed to build space equipment to be light to carry as little weight as possible.
Right.
I like that you're supposed to think that that's an ape on a horseback before you zoom in enough. That's
Yeah, because her silhouette from afar almost looks like a gorilla.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
And
from his perspective, she still kind of does. It's only when she gets this close that he can tell, oh shit, it's a beautiful woman. Never mind.
oh, I won't bash her over the head with a shovel. Or maybe I will.
Maybe
wink,
I
wink,
will, yes. Take her back to my cave.
From behind.
I just buried my dead boss. Don't be afraid.
Why ask why ask her who she is? Even if she were capable of speech, which he has no reason to think she isn't, her answer wouldn't mean anything to you. It's not like she's going to go, oh, I'm Ella Fitzgerald. Like, fucking... I never understood
I mean,
that.
he should already be astounded, because he's had two major shocks. One, people on an alien planet. Two, horses on an alien planet. Oh, wait. Does he know that they're on Earth?
No, I think he figures that out later when they go into the Forbidden City, I think.
So he has a Statue of Liberty moment just earlier in this movie than Taylor did in the last movie.
Yeah, I think it's when they go underground and he realizes they're in New York.
Right. So he still thinks that this is an alien planet, which is why I think he should be more shocked than he is. This is also why, again, I just don't think that he's as compelling as Taylor is. He doesn't really seem emotionally affected by anything.
He has sort of a backwards experience from what happened to Charlton Heston in the first movie. He finds out he's on Earth first, and then he finds out... no, wait, she takes him to Cornelius and Zira first, doesn't he?
Yeah, of course. He finds out about the apes very, very quickly and very, very casually. Although I do love his reaction. It's a city of apes. And,
oh my God. The city of apes!
And,
I'm surprised they were able to convince Charlton Heston to film this flashback sequence.
well, it's not really a flashback as much as it is like, oh, this is where we get the little snippet of what we were supposed to see, him starting a colony.
I like him saying, why don't we settle down and start a colony? It's almost a way to say, yeah, Pierre Bull, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, exactly. I think I just saw a little bit of Charlton Heston's penis. Anyway. Well, he's found a little oasis. That's nice. Why are you leaving? There's water right there!
Well, we've all seen a little bit of Charlton Heston's penis. That's
in our dreams, surely.
That's nothing new.
She's seen a whole lot of Charlton Heston's penis at this point.
That's always happening. There's
I do like that we see this from her perspective in flashback. That's cool. This is build up to something we're going to learn more about later. Let's talk about another scrapped idea, though, since we're talking about penises.
My God, it's a wall of fire.
Down, down, down into that old wall of fire. It's badly composited and tells us we're in the 60s. Oh boy, that lightning. Now, that actually looks pretty good for 1969. 69.
It would look better if the lightning wasn't ending on frame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's clearly not coming from the sky. It's just sort of exploding around.
Yeah, but it's not coming from the sky. It's a mental projection.
Right.
A projection.
But we don't know that.
Because Pierre Bull was French, so, Planet of the Apes is French. You want to have a Charlton Heston fall into a crevasse.
Now, that crevice
A
fake,
crevasse.
or was the crevice there before, and the mutants used their mental power so that he didn't see it, and then they revealed it to him via hallucination? Because they can't actually
They're
crack
like,
the earth
it's
open.
whatever you want, man.
So either that canyon is fake, or it was there all along, and he just couldn't see it until they wanted him to.
Listen,
'Cause they've
Dylan,
never-
the dress is blue, okay? It's just...
Yeah, I always said it was blue. What are you talking about? I never saw the white and gold bullshit.
Damn, you can see so much of her tits. It makes me very happy. His hair is shorter than it was during the bits of the last movie. Like, he looks like he's got kind of a mullet going on here.
Go find Zira, the ape, not the hut.
I'll be fine
thought
going to investigate this solid wall. I don't know why.
really
I don't
thought
know
that,
why he goes. I don't know why he does this in this badly composited bit here.
I never really thought it made much sense, though, that he sent her back to Ape City. Like, that's not a good plan.
Yeah, not at all. Realistically, she should just fuck off and run back to the woods with the people. Although I guess he imagines she's just going to be hunted by the gorillas again, so maybe she thinks that she has a better shot with Zira at this point, but I think he's wrong.
But her chances of getting to Zira, despite the fact that it actually did happen, are fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think his logic is sound. Realistically, if we were on the planet of the apes, we would be 10 times more successful. How would you try to initiate contact? Let's say it's in a version of the book where they speak a different language. How would you initiate contact?
That's a good question. I like how the apes have evolved to be more human-like, and the humans have evolved to be more beast-like. Horses, though, the same. Totally the same.
Yeah. What, you want Planet of the Horses? I kind of want that now too. But if I was gonna try to do it, if I was gonna try to initiate contact, I would probably try to use like curse words and being like, like you want to try to show a sense of irony, and a sense of self-awareness. Oh, here we go. My God, it's a city of apes.
Planet of the Horses would be hilarious because it would be a bunch of BoJack Horseman-looking motherfuckers riding humans around.
I hate myself. And I hate my steed. We're about to see a whole bunch of bad monkey masks. And some good ones.
My God, it's a kangaroo court of
That
apes.
was an awesome reveal. I like that Ursus was our first close-up ape. Here we go. City of Apes. Now, I'm not saying that all humans are evil simply because their skin is white. Ursus is probably the coolest thing in this movie, right? A really charismatic gorilla general.
All the apes in the front row look fine, and everyone else just looks horrible.
Yeah. They look more 50s B-movie, Like, look at Ursus. Like, just spectacular. Gorgeous. Beautiful hunk of 60s ape. But our great lawgiver. The gorilla's like, oh, that thing. Yeah, that's cool. Well, that's really judgmental, I think he should reconsider that. I love how Zaius looks so, tired and fed up with all this shit. He's like, oh, God, will they ever just let me go home? There are no men in the water. How many times must I tell you? We don't have to worry about them biting us anymore. You can take your children swimming on the 4th of July.
I wonder who this other orangutan is down here, wrapped in the purple. Always wondered about that.
Probably a judge or an overseer, like we saw in the first movie, who was overheading the trial. This is fun. Oh, look, there's not Roddy McDowell. All right, how do you think he looks? I think it's he's a little too tall.
Who, the new Cornelius?
Yeah.
I think he does a pretty decent McDowell impression, though. And I think
Yeah,
that's why
I didn't notice it when I was a kid, so I only notice it now because I know. So I think it is.
I only found out via the documentary behind the Planet of the Apes.
So I had a little bit of a delay. Did you?
Yeah, I did.
I'm at 2020, 2021, 22.
I'm like a second ahead of you. It's fine.
All right, whatever. Orson Welles was originally offered the role of General Ursus. That would have been pretty cool, right?
There's one problem with his makeup.
What?
One of the times that he says invade, he like rears his head back, and you can see his neck through the fur.
Oh, really? I didn't see that. Oh, I saw it there. Ooh.
Yeah.
This is a cheap movie. Kim Hunter looks... Yeah, she also doesn't look as good as she did in the first one. None of the makeup is as good as it was in the first one. Her cheeks are really squishy. Yeah, you know, the more I look at Cornelius, the less and less he looks like Roddy McDowell to me, and the more I can tell he's different. He's way taller.
He looks more like Galen from the first movie.
Yeah. That's a very good point. But again, how do you feel about the idea of casting Orson Welles as General Ursus?
That would have been cool.
1969 Orson Welles. Ooh.
He was probably already fat by then, wasn't he?
Not as fat, but yeah, pretty fat probably.
I'm just picturing him.
That was the period where he was like, I will not sell your peas. I have better things to do than sell your peas.
I'm picturing his version of Ursus standing behind a podium, and behind him is a huge picture of himself, and it just says Ursus.
Listen, now I'm not saying that all humans are evil. I'm simply saying that I'm going to say that in the newspapers to make myself look cool. Because I'm General Ursus.
I'd like to reassure you all that Beneath the Planet of the Apes was never intended to be more than a bit of fun.
Richard Zanuck's opinion continues. I don't know if he was involved in the second one. He might not have been. I think the political commentary was more overt at this point anyway, so maybe that's why he got out. I mean, this one has a literal nuclear bomb in it that's worshipped as a god, so that's a little hard to argue. Ooh, what do you think about this, D? What do you think about the naked apes?
It don't look great, does it?
No, it don't look great. It kind of works, though, because we've never seen what they look like under there. But, you know, you don't imagine them to all look that much like the same. Like, they all look literally the same, but some of them are different colors. It was wise to wrap Zaius in a robe.
I guess it kind of makes sense because, you know, the clothes would sort of constrict their fur, and fur does tend to make animals look bigger than they actually are. I do actually like
they look more like real apes in these bits.
I do also like thematically that when you strip away the human clothes, they pretty much look like real apes.
Yeah, exactly. Which is more in line with the book anyway. Unsimian torture. I like that line. Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is very gun-toting. Like, the guerrillas are just looking for an excuse to go to war.
This reminds me of the scenes in, like, Julius Caesar or Spartacus, where you'll have a bunch of, like, Roman senators in a fucking, like, steam house, and they're, like, plotting shit.
This is I always loved the compatriotism between Ursus and Zaius, because Zaius knows that Ursus is off the rails, but he also kind of agrees with Ursus's motives. So that's why they make an interesting duo. It's sort of like a comic book supervillain team-up, isn't it? Like a Lex Luthor Brainiac team-up.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
It sort of paints a picture of how the orangutans and the gorillas work together on the whole, too, you know?
Yeah, because the orangutan sort of use the gorilla's force and drive and compassion and energy to do shit for them, while they sit in the background and twiddle their thumbs and sit in control and authority of everything, you know, and don't actually have to do any work because they have the gorillas to do that. I do like the little picture of them in the corner. This is all just I like it, but again, I would have liked it better had they gotten Roddy McDowall back. I like that we get a better picture of what their domestic life is like. We get such a small glimpse of their house in the first movie. This looks more in line with like a modern home, though, than I think the first movie does. Although that Flintstone aesthetic is certainly still there.
I did love that moment a few minutes ago where she's talking about how she's going to make chocolate icing, and she says, "Do you like chocolate?" And he's like, "What?" And she goes, "Of course."
That's
of
what
course
got
you
my,
don't.
That's what got my attention. I like that a lot. I do like that she mistakes Brent for Taylor. How do you feel about just the casualness of all the reveals in this? Like, oh, there's another human that talks. Because now we're just into, like, exposition, you know? Like, we're not lingering on that dramatic moment. Like, the necessity of the plot, I think, definitely gets in the way of the emotion in this movie. This movie is definitely more plot-driven than the first movie. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Do you think that is problematic?
It depends, you know.
I think it is necessity that is the enemy here.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a lot of weird shit to get to. And if anything, I like that we get to Ape City and all the ape stuff so quickly because we're going to be distanced from it so much later. Which is, again, another thing I'm kind of conflicted about with this particular movie. But, again, this is just one I like a lot. It's bizarre that I do because I have so many things about it that I have misgivings about. But I really do kind of like the pace of it. It certainly knows what it's doing and when it has to get to certain things to keep the thing going. I mean, a lot has happened, and we are already a half hour in, but a lot has certainly happened. Like, by this point in the first movie, we weren't even to Ape City yet, no?
No.
I liked Cornelius's little walk there. That was much more chimpanzee-esque than the such stuff we've seen prior.
Yeah, and I believe that they carried that sort of little run on into the other movies, if I remember correctly.
This is a little weird. Because we never see Cornelius or any of the other apes do anything like this prior. So, it's a little weird.
Why is it weird?
I don't. It's just like it comes out of nowhere. Like, I don't know why she didn't just toss the thing aside. But why is he coming to them anyway? Why does he just pop in here? Is he suspicious of them? Does he have any idea that there are more people? Well, I guess the whole idea is that he and Ursus are going to look for more people, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, why is he here telling them about that? Why is he ranting to them? Presumably he has other people he can rant to. Why is innocence so evil? Oh, well, I guess it's... okay. So, of course, they all know that humans were intelligent prior to the apes rising, so that's why he's telling them about this little thing that's going on, because he knows that they know about it, and he wants them to be responsible in his absence with that knowledge. I do like that. He's like, let's have no violence, Cornelius. Yeah, see, there is a... Maybe yours to preserve or destroy. Keep the apes out of the water.
Now, it's unfortunate, however necessary, that this movie is the end of Maurice Evans as Dr. Zayas. I don't think he returned for the television series, right? Wasn't it somebody else?
That was
or
a
if he
different
did,
actor,
the character. Yeah. And the character was drastically different in that anyway.
Yeah. Well, he is supposed to be the same character. Like, he mentions interacting with Taylor, but he's a lot more softer. Get rid of these tits. I love that line. What the hell would I have to say to a gorilla? Again, all of the stuff from the first movie is just sort of like exposition in this one, which is... It's understandable, but again, this movie is definitely very much so like we're outlining the things we have to do to get to the next thing, as opposed to the last movie, where the last movie has this very, very nice effect of Taylor going through this struggle, getting a reward, and then the reward being taken away. This Brent has sort of just been handed everything, hasn't he?
Yeah, I never thought about this until now, but he really sort of benefits from everything that happened to Taylor in the last movie. Taylor didn't have some friendly apes to tell him not to speak before he went to Ape City, you know?
Yeah. Well, he couldn't anyway. So I think that's another thing that makes Brent less engaging, is that he just goes through less bad shit. Like, he doesn't get tossed around and thrown up in nets. I mean, he does get shot at the end, rather brutally so. That's certainly to be said for him.
He even gets a second animal skin to wrap around his shoulders. Taylor never got that.
He did, actually, but he threw it away.
That's right. He had the full, like, poncho at first.
Alright, so he got thrown off a horse. That was pretty violent as well. I'll give him that. I have a feeling he's not going to keep this top for very long. Arthur P. Jacobs is standing off screen going, "We want him to be topless. Let's get him topless, alright? Get the top off him, Ted." That's the director, Ted Post. "Ted, get the top off him." Oh, God, get him away from me. "Arthur, leave Ted alone. He's trying to direct it." Tell Arthur. Ted, I'm Arthur. Tell Ted I want the top off him. Oh, there are some bad monkey masks there. Oh, once again, I'm proven wrong. He gets strewn up in a net. That definitely impacts the quality of the action, I think. This looks a lot more like the TV show than it does the first movie, or maybe more of a cross between the two.
Those cages are way smaller than the ones in the first movie.
Everything is smaller than the first movie in this movie. Ape City looked way smaller, did it not?
That is true, yeah.
Although we didn't see the outside of it so much. We saw that meeting place, that Congress or hearing or whatever the hell that was, and then we saw the inside of Cornelius and Zira's house. So, all I'm saying is it's certainly scaled back. This is very cool. And I like that they're using the humans for practice. That's really cool. That's brutal, man. This all looks really good, too. You know what's interesting about these bits? I can imagine that if Pierre Boulle was gonna write a version where the humans reclaimed the planet and they got smart again and the apes went back to being primitive, that them being used as target practicing in these kind of wars would be the beginning of them starting their own revolt. That would be kind of cool, right?
Well, the way that you would do that whole thing would essentially be the way that they wound up doing the Ape Rebellion in Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. It would basically be Spartacus, but instead of Romans, there are apes, you know. Spartacus's rebellion started with fucking gladiators who had been trained to fight all for the Romans' amusement, and then, of course, he picked up, you know, fucking...
That might be interesting to do in an ape story, where like humans are used as like fighters for the apes, and then they revolve. That would be cool.
You couldn't do it in this version of the Apes universe, but you could do that in the television version, where the humans actually could speak and were more slaves than animals.
That would be more interesting. Ooh, that guy who's tied down. That's fucked up. Oof. This guy does go through more of Taylor's shit than I remember. I'm gonna give him a little more credit than I did before. Although, again, he certainly has benefited a lot from the stuff that Taylor went through and Taylor's prior experience with Zira and Nova. He got a lot more direct hints of what would be best for him to do. Oh, there he is. Not Orson Welles. What's that actor's name, D? Go on the internet. Look it up for me.
Ursus? You want me to find out who played Ursus?
Yes. Oh, that cage is bigger and more reminiscent of what's in the first movie. Again, I'm surprised that maybe that is what that is, but they didn't just use that set from the first movie. Presumably it was still standing, and this is only a year later. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe
James Gregory.
James Gregory. All right. Oh, my name is James Gregory. Ted, why am I in this gorilla makeup? We're making a movie called Planet of the Apes, James. I see. Well, I should have been told that first. You were, James. Well, God damn it, I shouldn't have been drunk. What the fuck's Jim bitching about now? Arthur's back. Oh, God. Again, I have no idea what Arthur Jacobs was really like, but I imagine him as a bitchy little high-pitched voice man.
Holy shit, I know this guy.
James Franciscus?
No, not James Franciscus, James Gregory.
Oh. What was he in?
He used to pop up on Barney Miller every now and then.
I have no idea what the hell that is. There was some bad compositing there that moved into some good stunt work, so that's probably for everybody involved. That's awesome stunt work. I don't know why they even bothered with the bad compositing. There's another bad composite. Good stunt work.
There's a lot of bad compositing in this movie.
Mixed in with great stunt work. There was another bad composite.
Yeah, see, there wasn't a whole lot of, like, visual effects.
Good
like
stunt
that.
work! Woo!
There wasn't a whole lot of, like, compositing shots like that in the first movie. It was a lot more just physically him running around. You know what I mean?
That was an awesome action sequence, though, despite the bad compositing. Again, this movie is definitely more action-driven, but we're going to get to a grander scale soon, and the story has definitely gotten to a different, interesting place. And at least we got a hint that something weird was going on earlier. Although, do you think that the lightning that we see in the first movie in the Forbidden Zone is also supposed to be caused by the mutants?
No.
I don't think so either. But retroactively, I imagine that's what you would do, right?
Because the mutants. I wouldn't see the motive there. You know what I mean? Like.
Well, why not? I mean, you don't think they will be interested in Taylor and his crew?
Yeah, but why would they just cause lightning? Why wouldn't they do the full thing that we saw them do in this movie?
I don't know. I mean, I think that the lightning was supposed to be like some kind of natural phenomenon probably caused by the nuclear radiation, if anything. But
Yeah, that gorilla watched them ride by looked super high. Yeah.
yeah, he was like, oh, he was totally smoking a joint. I was like, oh fuck, I gotta report that, man. That's some whack shit.
What did I give my human, man?
Oh fuck, I shouldn't ride when I'm high. I'm gonna blow your goddamn head off, I am. Oh, who gave Arthur the fucking rifle? Come here, Ted. Let me tell you about your reshoot idea. This feels like a Zorro movie now with how much horse chasing there is.
Why were they training on how to knock humans off of horseback when humans on horseback was not at all a common occurrence in the first movie?
Because I think they're presuming that there is an advanced group of humans out there that probably ride on horses, which they're wrong about, which is good, right? That makes sense. Like the enemy that they're looking for, which it's bizarre that Brent comes across mutants, and that's exactly who the apes turn out to be looking for. Although there was some ape that went out into the Forbidden Zone and reported the psychic phenomenon, right?
Yeah.
So there is at least a direct motivation for that. And I do like that where Taylor came from and you know, the place that we ended off on is sort of the mysterious subject of the second film, whereas it was sort of a climactic point in the last movie.
Now Brent and Nova stumbling upon the underground city in this way, or at least part of it, or that's a bit convenient, right?
It's also very, again, it's more casual than the Statue of Liberty scene in the first movie. This is Brent's realization that he's on Earth, you know. And you know, he just sort of is like, oh, that's weird. My God. What station is this? Have I been here? Have I been to this station? I don't know. Let me see if I can call the Ghostbusters. I'm sure they'll know how to solve this problem. A LA phone. That must be some kind of alien probe device. Do you have any idea what this means, Nova?
V'ger is actually Voyager. My God. They did a similar thing in the 2001 movie. Remember? They called the ship. They called it something.
Queensboro Plaza. I've been there.
Do you remember that? Like the apes had a name for the place where that crashed ship was, and when
yes, it was a weird amalgam, like they fucked up the arrangement of the letters of the ship, and that was the name. Yeah,
well, it was
their version of the Forbidden Zone. Yeah,
it was the same kind of idea as what just happened there with telephone and what they did in the first Star Trek movie where you find out that V'ger was Voyager. It's like part of the name of the ship was covered up with dust, and then you wipe it off and you realize it's the fucking ship. That was Mark Wahlberg's Statue of Liberty moment.
Oh my God, it's a Playboy cover. Playboy of the Apes.
Oh my God.
I'd read the fuck out of that. All kinds of sexy she-monkeys. Well, conveniently, he lived in New York. I was a goddamn jizz mopper.
I just realized that if you shortened his last name, you would get James Franco. Who was in Rise of the Planet.
Oh my God, it all comes full circle. Karma, reincarnation, it's all real. Did we finally really do it? I do like that they got the same priest from the first movie.
He's like, oh God. Yeah, he wasn't the first movie. I just forgot about him.
Oh God.
I guess that's what the purple...
Please protect our troops in their time of need. Our great lawgiver. It's like a sassy Brooklyn fucking priest. They are in New York after all. Oh my god, lawgiver, you gotta protect our apes. It's gonna be fucking nuts out there.
Ursus was totally rolling his eyes just then.
Well, do you think that he buys all the religious dogma, or do you think that he's just using it as an excuse to shoot stuff?
I don't know.
Zeus obviously buys it. He buys it hook, line, and sinker. That's why he is the way he is. He wants to defend it. And Cornelius and Zira are conflicted about it. They seem to believe some of the lawgivers' mentality, like ape, don't kill ape, like all that stuff, but they just don't like the whole anti-human mentality. This I also like a lot. This is the on-the-nose...
No more Viet Cong. I mean, no more human hunting.
This is the more direct satire imagery that I think, would have scared off Richard Zanuck.
Meanwhile, Richard Zanuck is still standing in the studio going, "Oh, there's no socio-political message in these movies."
I loved Ursus's look there, like, what do you mean we can't shoot them? Jostle them around and throw them into the dirt.
What are your demands, chimpanzee protesters?
Oh my god.
We demand a bigger trailer.
Can you imagine if they had fucking social media at this point? Well, just the videos that would be taken of this?
Can you imagine if they had actually done this to Vietnam protesters? Just put them in a cage.
Put them in a fucking cage like animals. Like the humans were going to go off and murder. I love the flags. That's awesome. There's a bee on.
I mean, at least make the bad monkey masks have closed mouths.
At least put it all in the darkness of night.
So that they just look like they're walking along minding their business. It looks stupid when they all have their mouths hanging open. Like all these soldiers are marching into battle and they're all like, "Dee."
Do you think we have a clear enough idea of what the conflict is at this point?
Yeah, the apes are gonna go, they're gonna go fuck up some shit. Of course, we haven't met the other party yet.
Do you think we have a clear enough idea of what the apes think the other party is?
Yeah, they just
and as
think,
to why they're motivated to mobilize?
well, assuming that you've seen the first movie, obviously, they don't buy into Taylor being from another planet. They think there are more speaking humans out there somewhere. Where's your nest?
Yeah, good. Drink that dank cave water. Yeah, good. That's what you get. You blonde dickhead. Towhead. Dick toe.
I hate waiting in the subway.
Right? Oh, Nova, I wonder when the
time.
train's gonna come. Before I do, I hope.
Ugh.
Oh, he's totally giving her the eyes of, I'm gonna stick my civilized penis into your raw, wild vagina.
Maybe don't go back up. Maybe stick to the perfectly well-defined underground system of tunnels that you have access to.
They're not still looking for him, surely. Surely they've moved on. Surely these apes are just coming by before they move on to the Forbidden Zone.
No, I think the small detachment of gorillas is still trying to find those guys.
Really? Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's what the dialogue
he
is.
should keep going down, but I think that was his direct motivation to keep going down. They wanted to establish that. Because, I mean, realistically, he doesn't want to go down. He's trying to find Taylor. So he thinks that he wouldn't think that Taylor has gone down. He would think that he would be up. You know, where he found Nova. I imagine he would also assume that Taylor had been recaptured by the apes, and that he would be best to look at, you know, other camps and shit, or other places where the apes were taking humans, you know?
All right, Brent, you can walk down there, but don't come crying to me when you get hit by a train. Yeah.
What was the plan? Where did Zira want him to go?
I don't know. I think they were just trying to help him get the fuck out of Ape City so that he could go find Taylor. Well, you remember that Cornelius was pointing to a map, and he told him where they last saw Taylor alive. So the idea was, hey, this bitch can't talk, so you're going to have to go find Taylor.
Right, okay. So the production of this was interesting. They scaled back the budget from $5 million to $2.5 million. And one thing was that they wanted to recreate an entire underground New York City, but they had to do it for relatively low amounts of money. So they came up with this really interesting, cheap way to do it, where basically they took big cutouts of pictures of New York City and used them as grandiose map paintings. And we'll see in a few minutes, but I remember it looking pretty cool. Even
Essentially
still.
what we have a whole lot of cave sets, and then every now and then they'll come across a ladder or something.
Yeah.
You know?
It's very video game-esque. Like, it's very like it's an underground city where everything is designed to be a long video game corridor. This does certainly feel a little more video gamey even than the first movie. Alright, let's shoot some gorillas. Alright, let's climb up some ladders.
You just got the dollar bill in action, bro.
Oh yeah, this girl's having all kinds of fantasies about this guy. Although I imagine she misses Taylor too much to care. She's like, well, I might as well die, so I'll go. We don't learn that she's pregnant in this, do we?
No, I don't think so.
That was a deleted scene from the first one.
Yeah, weird that they didn't bring that idea back for a sequel.
Again, I think that's future baggage that they didn't want to deal with at this point, although they probably would have liked that later on. Whoa, what the hell's that?
What the fuck would these tunnels have been in the 20th century?
Well, I think this is all supposed to be an underground nuclear vault, no?
Attached to the subway line?
Could be under the subway line. That's how Fallout 3 does it. Meh. The New York Public Library.
My God,
as seen
this
in
is
fan
Ghostbusters.
favorite film Ghostbusters. It looks pretty good, don't it? What do you think?
Oh, it's sort of like sort of an interesting take on like the whole matte painting idea, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a clever way to get around that limitation. I think it's a little like what was I gonna say? I don't remember. But I just think it's a clever way to get around the limited budget.
Are they even remotely paying attention to the actual geography of the city, or are they just putting around landmarks that the viewer will recognize?
Yeah, it seems to be more of that. There's no geography here I'm familiar with. But again, after a nuclear blast, anything is possible. Oh shit, here we go, son. Religion time. Time for Brent to
Nobody-
go to school.
Nobody buries
Sunday
a church in my
school.
town. Hey,
Why
if
is this guy always fucking around with weird water? What is his problem?
you rake the shit out of the way, there's water in here.
Why is he always fucking around with water? What is this dude's deal?
He's fucking thirsty, man. He's fucking thirsty.
Well, maybe he should take his thirst to less weird sources.
Like where the fuck is he gonna take it? He's in a fucking cave.
I don't know. He should figure out a better alternative is all I'm saying. Somebody's taking a piss. That's very rude. Oh, look, D, you've been satisfied. So is he.
I mean, when you gotta go, you gotta go. Because you can survive longer in the wild without water without food than you can water. Staying hydrated is very essential.
They're being very trusting of the surprise fountain, though. That's all I'm saying. Oh, and very mistakenly, now they're tripping balls. See, that's what I'm saying. They don't trust strange water. That's all I'm saying.
That's not the water. That's the fucking mutant powers. You know that. You cunt.
Well, I'm still saying... Oh, wow, I remember that. I'm still saying that he shouldn't trust strange water. Would you have to... Can you possibly agree with me on that?
I mean, I guess, but I mean...
Do you trust strange water? Do you go around drinking water off caves?
I'm not typically in that situation.
Well, put yourself in that situation. See how much water you're drinking out of the cave.
I don't typically drink a whole lot of water anyway.
Well, put yourself in a cave. See how much fucking water you want. This is a good bit. It's unlike anything we saw in the first movie.
Get out of my dreams. Get into my car.
Conveniently go to next set.
Gotta get to the church on time.
I do like that they're able to affect him more than Nova for obvious reasons.
Because he's fucking got something between his ears?
Yeah. Oh, I think he sees. I think he sees the bomb now already because he's in the church. Again, it's a very small society. It's more scaled back than the first movie, certainly.
Not since the King Kong Wall and Gone with the Wind or the Pterodactyl and Citizen Kane have such disparate elements been so juxtaposed. Looks like a big bullet.
My God, it's an enormous dildo. Unto my God.
God, it's a city of Catholics. Help! Take me back to the Apes.
Yeah. He saw the nuclear bomb and he was like, oh, fuck, I was clearly in better company earlier. So what do you think of the idea of the mutants, Dean? They're certainly the most left of center sort of idea here, right?
Yeah, and like there's this whole background to them that we learn over the course of this movie. Like, it's a lot. It's getting to be a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Especially now that we have different versions of them. You know, we have this version, and then we have the the Battle for the Planet of the Apes version.
Yeah, they're not like fully mutated yet. They don't
No.
have psychic powers yet, or
Oh yeah, they don't, do they?
no. Actually, one of my favorite stories in that anthology deals with them getting their psychic powers.
Interesting. Ooh, that was also an interesting fact. It is a weird idea. Do you think it matches with the first movie?
Not quite.
Yeah, I would have
However,
to agree. It definitely feels a little bit like, oh, well, that's what this is about now, huh?
I don't think it's supposed to, though. I do think the whole idea here is, oh, well, you got the Planet of the Apes, and that's one thing. But if you go beneath the Planet of the Apes, there's like this whole other strange world to explore. I think that's the idea.
Yeah, definitely. It's a contained new world to explore, isn't it?
Now, hypothetically, if somebody was watching these movies along with us and hadn't seen them before, which is a weird fucking way to do this, they would just now be introduced to Natalie Trundy, who will appear in all of them after this.
Yeah, she's in every single one up until Battle. She hasn't made a cameo in 2001 or the subsequent films. I wish they would do that, but I don't know why.
That would be nice. I don't know why Roddy McDowall hasn't gotten a cameo anywhere.
2001 would have been better served to do that. Yeah, he's still alive. I don't know why they haven't done that. Yeah.
He's still kicking around.
They should have given him a human role in Rise. That would have also been a good place to do that.
I think maybe after Battle or War for the Planet of the Apes, if they want to do more after that, I think we need a little bit of a time skip. You go a little bit further into the Ape Society's future, and then you could have Roddy McDowall cameo as like a really old chimpanzee, or maybe
have
even
him play like an older Caesar,
or maybe even make an orangutan. Make it, have him play one of the other types of apes. Make it interesting. You know what I mean?
Make him the lawgiver.
Like I don't think he could be a gorilla. But he could totally be an orangutan. That would be. What if Roddy McDowall got to be the new universe's version of Zeus?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, what if he was the new version of the lawgiver?
I guess, but you seem to think that's the white one, don't you?
The white one?
From the war trailers, that one white ape. Did you say you thought it was going to turn out to be the lawgiver?
Yeah, that's my running theory. It might not be that ape in particular, but I do certainly stand by the fact that I think the lawgiver will be set up in that movie.
Now, see, in this, they've just changed the explanation for how the time travel works too. He just explained that him and that guy that he buried at the beginning came through like a time warp kind of thing, very 2001. Whereas in the original movie, it just seemed to be relativity, like it was in the novel.
Well, a wormhole is also what they do in Escape from the Planet of the Apes, isn't it? But that's more understandable because that's in relation to the nuclear explosion that blows up the Earth.
Well, that's also necessary because they're going backwards in time, which shouldn't be possible through plain old time travel. However, going forwards in time, if you're capable of traveling near the speed of light, is completely scientifically possible.
I guess the idea is that because Brent was sent to wherever the hell Taylor was, he went through a more specific, direct event that got him to where he had to go, I guess.
I like how the mutants still have black people and the other humans don't seem to. Also, how you're stuck underground. The gene pool's super limited. The races shouldn't be separate anymore in a more realistic scenario. They should all be like some sort of vague brown color.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I guess I just wonder how long that would take. It's been 1,000 years, so I guess it should be in effect already, right?
Nearly 2,000 years, remember.
Oh, yeah, right.
From our perspective, over 2,000 from the perspective of 1969. Well, they did that.
Maybe they maintain that intentionally. They maintain a separate gene pools.
It's possible. They do have the intelligence that they regular humans don't. So perhaps they do indulge in some sort of what's the word? Eugenics type of program. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe he's a rarity. Like who knows?
Much more artificial selection than the way humans breed now. That's all entirely possible.
I really like this bit. This whole bit of him interacting with the people underground is kind of why I like this movie so much. It's a very creative, interesting idea, and it's very effective. This is the bit where you're like, he goes through something different than Charlton Heston did in the first movie. It's maybe not as physically fucked up, but it's pretty dark and pretty excruciating. It shows how powerful these people are, too, that they don't kill anybody, including the apes. Their powers are purely intimidation. That was the best fire effect in the whole movie, my god.
Or the nuclear deterrent. Oh wait, that one actually does kill people.
Not by their hand.
No, but in theory.
Yeah, they were going to do it.
Shit, he brought up the bomb mule.
Well, he stumbled across it, remember? He wandered into the church and he was like, oh shit, there's a golden bomb. And that's when he first stumbled across the... He saw the dude without his makeup, right? Or he hasn't seen that yet. I don't remember. I think that's going to be revealed to him in a few minutes. They're going to reveal their unmost selves onto their fucking James Franciscus. I'll help nobody, alright? The Second Amendment tells me I don't have to help nobody. I don't know what the Second Amendment actually is, so don't correct me in the comments, please.
You think if they wanted to, they could use their psychic powers in more lethal ways? Do you think it's a matter of they don't have the ability to actually kill with their powers, or is it more a matter of their religion doesn't allow them to?
I think it's a mix of both. I think that they don't want to put that much effort into murdering people with their powers because they would have to, because on the purely physical level they don't match the apes. So out of fear of ineffectiveness, I don't think that they go after other races with their psychic abilities. They just try to use them for self-defense.
I mean, realistically, they could make the apes kill each other like they do the humans, or like they tried to do the humans, couldn't they?
I mean, no, that's not what Rise is about, but it's sort of what, I don't know. Similar to something. Like, I can't remember what I was going to say, but... Oh, we're back in the heads again. We're bouncing between that a little bit now, and it's a little weird. Oh, shit, I forgot about that. She's into it. Wow, I guess that she was hot for him the whole time, my god. Taylor's just like, Nova, you slut. You cheated on me with a baby version of me. That's downright pedophilia. Wow, he kissed her so hard he killed her. My god, I wish I could do that, right, D?
He was choking her at the same time.
Oh. Well, some girls like that, so that's her fault. She miscommunicated. She miscommunicated her limitations to him.
Things just got unintentionally rapey here on Talking Apes. It's her fault, Bill Worcester 2017.
I'm tired. I know not what I say, or do I? Oh my god, there are fucking apes in this movie?
Oh yeah. We were beneath them.
In more ways than one. Do you think that the title is somewhat metaphorical? Like, we're beneath the planet of the apes, but the humans are always going to be beneath the apes, even if they rise again and take over again.
No, I'm pretty sure the title is referring to the sunken city that's beneath the planet of the apes.
Well, obviously, I'm just asking some hardcore questions about metaphor and analogy here.
And I'm saying that I don't think that's intentional at all.
Well, all right then. I'm glad we had that conversation that you tried to steamroll over right away. You mean me, man?
You can certainly interpret it that way. I'm just saying that you're wrong.
Well, thank you. I like Ursus's hat. Would you wear that on a daily basis?
In the real world?
Yeah.
I would if I was cosplaying as General Ursus.
What if you worked for a job where you had to wear that hat every day? They paid you $15 an hour.
To walk around wearing that hat?
No, you would have to wait people at a restaurant.
Oh. That's a shitty job. And a shitty hat.
Yep. I wouldn't do it. That's not worth it. That's embarrassing. I can barely wear the hat I wear for work, and it's the same hat. It's the same kind of hat that I already wear, just wearing it forwards.
Let me put it this way: wearing a hat, no, not wearing a hat in general. That hat looks great on a gorilla, and I more physically similar to a gorilla than probably most people, wouldn't look so great on me.
That's really dark and effective imagery. As sanitized and clean and lower budget as all this is, the imagery of the torturous, hallucinations is very effective, and it makes you feel like this movie is 10 times darker than it really is.
They should have had the lawgiver statue there from the beginning, because I think that kind of tips Zayas off that it's an illusion. It just sort of appeared out of fucking nowhere.
Do you think they kind of have an advantage here, the mutants? Do you think that this is kind of a big victory for them?
No, because Zayas fucking says, "Fuck that shit."
Right. Usually you stop something like this and that would deter everything else, but not in this case.
Yeah, Zayas, if only you had dual-wield machine guns.
Yeah, if only he had the balls to carry a weapon, right? All of these, there are no men in the water. That's what Zayas is always trying to prove and shit.
Dr. Gaius. This is a vision, and it is a lie. He's like, "Oh shit, I was right." You should tell right after he wrote in there, he was like, "I fucked up." And then he was like, "Oh, I knew all along."
I did always like that they were aware of the apes, but they never wanted to communicate with them out of fear. This is an idea that's in the short story that I haven't finished yet in that book that we're going to review. That they know that they're mentally and perhaps they're wrong about this even, debatably. They're mentally superior to the apes, but physically they can't take them in a fight. And they're against killing things on principle. Their only weapon is illusion, they said to Brent before.
Yeah. There's also a bit of interesting prose in that short story that I enjoyed, where from the mutants' perspective, they have the races sort of labeled. They call the humans the first race, and then they call themselves the second race, and they call the apes the third race.
The failed first race, yeah.
That was a nice bit of world building there.
I love all the shots where Ursus looks surprised. Oh, that's cool. I forgot about this. Where they stumble across the wrecked city. That also looks really good, don't it?
I also love the juxtaposition of how the apes keep like the human past super fucking secret. Meanwhile, the mutants just put that shit on Front Street. Like, yeah, we used to rule the world, and now we were punished, and we have to live down here in the underground and guard this bomb. Great shit.
Well, they think they've ascended to a higher connection with God following the bomb. This is all creepy as fuck, ain't it? Very culty.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen Red State? Kevin Smith's movie Red State?
No.
This reminds me a lot of that. Just like a creepy bunch of people at church who are so devoted to a weird, sick religion. This is weird and sick in that way of like, they feel so benevolent and loving about this thing that could kill them all and wipe them all out. You know?
Yeah.
It's interesting how it potentially comments on Christianity and other religions that it's trying to satire and lampoon.
Well, the way that the writer described it in that short story is actually one of the best ways I've ever seen it described. It's like they worship the bomb because it represents ultimate power that could destroy all of them, but it's also like contained.
Right. That's what I read as well, and I think that's a really interesting idea. And again, there's certainly parallels there to the Judeo-Christian idea of God. Like, oh, he can punish you for fucking up, but he also will always forgive you and love you and accept you back into heaven if you do the right shit. So, there's certainly some interesting parallels there. Do you think that this little bit goes on for too long?
I do love this moment where we zoom in on Brent and he's just like, this is some fucked up shit.
Yeah. I love how he's always in skimpy clothes. Like, he can never went out and get some unrevealing clothes. Like, he's still dressed in like this weird skirt type of deal, ain't he?
Now this is the best part of this whole.
Yeah, we're about to get to the money shot, so to speak, which looks better than the group shot of the apes, as it were, don't it?
I like how the crowd has to sing everything they say, but the people standing on stage can just say it.
They did a really good job of transitioning from them with their real faces cutting to pulling off fake masks, because that's hard to pull off, especially in 1969. So kudos to them for doing it right.
There was a lot of discussion and design work done about how fucked up they wanted the mutants to look. And ultimately, what they found was a picture of what a human face looks when the outermost layer of the epidermis is removed. And they thought that was sufficiently scary looking while not being too gross, because I mean a lot of the original concept was like they're all fucked up looking, you know. It's just this version is the way that it eventually came out. It's like super scarred and veiny, so it gives across that mutant thing without being too like they don't look like fucking Freddy Krueger, you know.
Right, they didn't decide to go like a whole Shin Godzilla direction with the design.
Now it's really
I really like the design they went with. It's not as gruesome, but it certainly makes a very powerful statement.
This scene actually makes the whole black people thing even weirder, because they all name when they take their fake faces off. So apparently some of them just have black ones for some reason.
Yeah, they know that if they had proper skin that they would be black. That's convenient. I wish we all had that knowledge, don't we?
I guess they just keep up with their genealogies. I mean, this is all the sort of thing that the people who made the movie obviously just didn't think about at all. And I'm just sitting here being like, why are there still black people in this weird future where like they should have all interbred to the point where it's impossible to tell them apart, you know?
There was actually an idea to do, speaking of breeding, there was an idea to do an ape-human hybrid in this movie. Did you see the test footage for that?
Yeah, that was interesting, to say the least.
Did you ever hear what the backstory was for that? Because I never did. So I never knew what the direction or motivation for that character was.
Yeah, no, they never really talked about how that would have worked in the documentary. They just sort of say, hey, this is a thing they considered doing.
I also don't love how they're like, well, we have to kidnap you because we did that to Taylor, so you've got to go through the same thing so you can meet up with him again. Another reveal shot that I like, coming up in a second. There it is. That's very Ursus as well. I wish Taylor and Ursus got some actual proper screen time together. That would have been cool.
And then they bang.
Not yet. We have to wait until they get out of the cage first. Or until they just get some chains. Oh, I forget that they tried to get them to kill each other. They got Charlton Heston to do an action sequence too, if you count the shoot 'em up he's gonna get into in a few. So that's cool.
Why aren't they considering Brent and Taylor their enemies though?
think that they know that they've allied themselves with the apes and the first humans, and that they're mostly pretty shocked and unliking of the mutant humans. I mean, obviously, I think that they're aware that Brent doesn't like them in particular.
Yeah, but he might have liked them if they hadn't tried to make him kill Nova right out of the gate. They're like a total dick to him, and then they're like, "Oh, now you're our enemy," and he's like, "Fucking yeah, I am."
I've been telling you that the whole time. Now we're just being honest about it. Oh wow, that was cool. This fight's pretty good. Again, I'm glad we got Charlton Heston involved in a fucking proper fight before we booted him off to better pastures. Did you also know that he donated his entire salary to charity that he got during this movie?
No.
Yep. That was also part of his stipulation. He was like, I don't want to get paid. I want to donate it to charity. So that's certainly admirable, no?
Well, to quote Tommy Lee Jones, that's noble. Stupid, but noble.
Wow, that's brilliant. The tables really turned here. Choking was Brent's thing. And now Taylor has stolen that.
Don't muscle in on his kinks, Taylor.
Got another little glimpse of Brent's penis there. That was nice. Do you think that we get kind of distance? We just saw them a few minutes ago, but before that, do you think we get kind of distanced from the apes in this?
A little bit, yeah. Although the title is Beneath the Planet of the Apes, so
yeah, that is kind of the idea. I don't know. I think it's certainly conflicted. Again, I think that this movie definitely shows a lot of the seams of being unsure of how close it wants to be to the original while still trying some new shit, you know? I think it definitely walks that very fine line. Maybe not so finely all the time.
oh no, not Jamal.
Whatever will we do for the remaining 10 minutes of this movie without Jamal? He was the voice and the charisma of the mutants. He's still alive, though. Maybe there's still time. Maybe there's still time, D. So what do you reckon about all this stuff, all this fighting between the two of them? Is it more Keith David versus the guy from fucking WrestleMania who was in They Live, or is it more just proper Captain America Winter Soldier fist fight established the characters?
It's more gritty and realistic than a Captain America Winter Soldier type thing, but it isn't quite as great as the one in They Live that you're referencing. However, I think ultimately it was a good way to get a cheap action scene in this movie.
Yeah. And again, what I like about these Planet of the Apes movies is that they have this very gritty, on the ground sense of action, and this one, maybe more so than the other sequels, has a better sense of maintaining that in relation to the first one. This movie, Dylan, if you're going to summarize what the story of this movie is, what is the story of this movie?
It's really convenient that Taylor is about the doomsday bomb and Brent didn't. How would I summarize this movie?
Yeah, story-wise. Simply.
Well, we discover a race of mutated humanoids living beneath the Planet of the Apes. Sort of a twist on what Zayas thought might be out there in the first movie, but much weirder than he could have ever imagined. And then the planet blows up.
It doesn't have a very strong structure, does it?
No, not particularly. Things just sort of happen.
The first movie has a stronger sense of structure, would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
Again, the first one has that wonderful sense of like, oh, struggle, reward, struggle, reward. Do you also think it's problematic we get so distanced from the apes? Did I ask you that already?
Why did they come back here in that passageway? Wouldn't it have made more sense if they had just... Couldn't they have accessed the Forbidden City from the top of the ground? I mean, they found...
They really should have followed them earlier. I wish they would have gotten down to the mutant humans earlier. I kind of wish we got more of a battle between them. Although what we get certainly makes sense.
Also, the army looked way bigger in that first scene than it has in any of the scenes since then.
Yeah. I also love it in movies like this where armies will move through grand spaces way faster than people have on foot. Like, they're going to get from this bit to the mutant city very quickly. I do like that in the book their motivations are conflicted between religion and science and fear of the unknown. Dr. Zayas had that great line earlier where he was like, Ursus was like, "What's scarier than famine, Doctor?" And Zayas was like, "The unknown." It seemed
we don't have any actual weapons beyond the power of illusion. However, we do have some spiky clubs hanging from the wall for your convenience.
Didn't they get that off the... I think they were given that to fight themselves, but I think the idea was also that they got some of those weapons off of the fucking cage for the fucking the cell they were in.
Well, it's certainly the same design. But...
It looked like Charlton Heston just hit her again, didn't it? He's like, all of the merchandising rights all out the window.
Why the fuck did they even fuck with Taylor at the beginning of the movie and take him prisoner?
Yeah, I guess they didn't explain that, did they? What do you theorize was the reason?
Bad writing.
Outside of that.
Within the context of the fourth volume, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Maybe he was getting close to finding the city, and they wanted to maybe they were just trying to scare him and Nova off, and then he wound up falling in to that hole, or I don't know.
Dr. Zayas seems very slow as an archaeologist, doesn't he?
Well, he's an old ape.
I'm telling you, there are no water. This is not the water. Boo! I kind of wish that would happen, but I doubt it.
Why didn't they use their powers of illusion to make them see another ape who goes, "Ah, it's all cool, guys"? Couldn't they theoretically use their powers of illusion to make themselves look like apes to the apes?
Yeah, they could. Couldn't they? They can make them look more photoreal. They can do that to all the apes. Arrest that creature. That's great.
You mean the entire time you were slaughtering their city, you never heard any of the other ones talk? And how did you think their society
I think they figured that they spoke in the past, but I think that they figured they'd gone beyond that at this point. See, this movie, like, it plays it as much more of like this, like, weird reveal, you know, this science fiction reveal, this twist that they'll go through, you know. Oh shit, here we go, son. The final countdown. This is very dumb. I don't know why they're like, we're gonna pull it down. I guess they kind of see it. Do you think that there's supposed to be some golden calf kind of symbolism going on here?
You know what this kind of reminds me of in retrospect? The
What?
scene in Daimajin where Samanosuke's men are fucking with Daimajin.
Yeah, well, they're trying to pull down what they think is a false god, you know? And again, I think that they're supposed to, it's supposed to be sort of like reminiscent of the golden calf. You know, they think that this thing has no power, which is sort of true in the divine sense, but in the practical sense, it's got lots of power.
No, even in the divine sense, I'd say that the power to blow up a planet is pretty.
That's fair. That is sort of divine by definition. They are. Oh, wow, it does kind of activate a little bit. I forgot about that. What happened to all the other mutants? Did they get shot?
It would be kind of great if Ursus just accidentally blew up the planet.
He's like, I wonder what this button does. Orson Welles is like, get me kicked off of a picture. Ooh, Taylor's been accosted.
Does Dr. Zayas recognize Taylor? I don't remember.
He does, yeah. Oh my God, Ursus's getting shot was badass. Ooh, Brent just took out like fucking 3 gorillas in a row. Nazi zombie style. Yep, he recognizes him. It's Doomsday.
Love that line.
Me too.
My favorite delivery in this whole movie, right after City of Apes. The other great one is, it's Doomsday.
I'm gonna make sure there's no more sequels, Zayas. He says that, meanwhile, they're the ones that knocked the bomb over. Brent's death is brutal. And again, it proves that Taylor's the real protagonist here. Brent was just a sub-in.
I kind of wished, as a reference back to the first movie, he had called Zayas a bloody baboon again instead of bloody bastard.
That would have been great. Oh, that's it. Damn.
And then the world went boom.
That is very powerful. It is kind of fucked up that he decides to take out, like, Cornelius and Zira and Nova along with him. Like, you know? I guess he thinks everybody's better off dead, right?
I don't know. I don't think we necessarily needed the narrator to be all like, the planet just fucking blew up. But I guess it's in there for...
Because they had to do a fade out with why. Yeah, exactly. It's supposed to be like, well, we couldn't show the explosion proper, so this is the best we could do. Well, wow, that was it, D. Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
At least we get the explosion described to us in the next movie.
Yeah, that is effective.
Whoa,
I've read comics where we see it.
Whoa. Was one of the apes named Negro?
No, I think that was supposed to be the fucking mutant. Oh my God, that's fucked up, isn't it? Man, this is the summer of '69, and there was still some racist perceptions at the time, I suppose. Well, Aside from that, how'd you feel about the movie, D?
Well, I thought that everyone in it, including Negro, performed admirably. It's just a weird ass sequel. Ultimately, is the only thing about it that kind of gives you pause and makes you go, ugh, I don't know about that. You know what I mean?
I think that the lack of a proper structure is really the thing that killed that doesn't kill it. I still like it a lot, but that really suffers from. I don't think it has a clear enough direction of what it wants to be, and like you said, a bunch of stuff just happens, and that leads to a less compelling kind of pace. And the lack of Charlton Heston in most of the movie also hurts that.
Indeed.
And again, we get distance from the apes, and that's not what you want, right?
No.
So where does it rank in the sequels for you right now, thinking about it?
Speaking just about the original 5 films,
Yeah.
even though I really like this movie, it's my second to last favorite of the original 5 films, which isn't saying that it's bad by any stretch of the imagination, because I think they're all pretty good. But obviously 5 is the weakest of them all, and this just is above that simply by nature of the fact that I think 3 and 4 are masterpieces, and I don't think this one quite stacks up to them. But I do enjoy it quite a bit.
I think 3 and 4 have other problems that stand out more for me, whereas this is just more of a fun romp to me, and this has just so much cool, iconic shit in it that I'm willing to overlook the problems, but perhaps I will have another differing opinion when we rewatch them this time. But I mean, as of right now, this is oh wow, I just hurt myself. It was very distracting. But as of right now, this is definitely still my most preferred sequel. Ursus, man, Ursus all the way. Ursus.
I wish we got to see him be a little bit more of a badass over the course of the movie.
Yeah, I wish there was more of a war, didn't you?
He talks a mean game at the beginning of the movie. I would have loved to see him get into like some sort of a skirmish with Taylor or something, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't enough conflict. I don't think.
Most of the movie is just his stuff in the movie is just him on horseback and then getting shot. Like, he has a great speech at the beginning, and I think that's why you and everyone else loves him. But they don't really do anything with him after that, unfortunately. That's
fair, but he's good throughout it. There's that scene where he gets some good stuff to do though, or at least be involved in, like the bit where he hallucinates in the desert with his men. That's very effective. He's an idiot for pulling down the nuclear bomb, but that's still an effective, creepy scene. I just think that this movie has production limitations and some other issues along the way that limit its success at otherwise being the bizarre, cool, revolutionary sequel it wanted to be. And I think that initial direction-wise, this was the way to go. But, they obviously had to change some shit up to keep things going after they blew up the entire Planet of the Apes, as the title is required to imply. So we shall find out how they kept things going when we escape from the Planet of the Apes next time on Talking Apes. Until then,
the hardest part about doing this series is not immediately popping in the next movie after I watch one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm used to binging them as well, so I feel the same way. But shouldn't be too long before we're getting to Cornelius and Zira's misadventures in 1970s America. But spoiler alert, we'll get there. Until then, I'm Bill Worster, a.k.a. Zazubaar.
And I'm Super DM64.
And it's a madhouse, but keep the men out of the water.
God damn you all to hell!
I gotta press